Hello, and welcome to the Castle Talk podcast, where we talk to writers and creators of today's genre worlds. From Denver, Colorado, I'm your host, Jason Henderson, author of the upcoming series Young Captain Nemo from Fievel and Friends Macmillan Books. Looking Glass is a new thriller starring Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage, Robin Tunney, and Marc Blucas about a man who discovers that the motel he has just bought contains a strange hidden hallway that lets him spy on the hotel's guests, leading to a story of obsession, suspicion, and murder. It debuts February 16th. Tonight, we're talking to Tim Hunter, director of Looking Glass. Now, Tim is an American television and film director. You'll know him from his work in the harrowing River's Edge, which won Best Picture at the Independent Spirit Awards. Also directed a lot of TV: Riverdale, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, on and on. Welcome, Tim.
Hi. Great intro.
Oh,
I
thank
should
you.
bottle your synopsis.
You're welcome to it. You're more than welcome to take it down. I'm really excited to talk about this because I read the book Voyeur's Motel with great interest about a year ago, and I think this is the first movie that sort of captured that idea and turned it into a story.
Yeah, I never read the book. It's the Gay Talese book you're talking about, right? It was a
Yeah,
Colorado, Aurora or something?
it was. It was
Or
in Aurora. That's right. Yes.
yeah. Well, the first picture I ever wrote, Over the Edge, about teens rebelling in the suburbs back in 1979. We shot that film in Aurora when it was just a collection of tract houses and not at all built up. It was Aurora when it was pretty much still under construction. But I never read the Gay Talese book. The script came to me pretty much finished with Nicolas Cage attached to it. I knew about the book and the New Yorker piece. That's another world to me. I just was dealing with the script that they handed me.
So one thing I thought about watching this movie, there's a certain kind of film, like and I have favorites like the swimming pool or the Deep End, which was I think originally this a James Mason thriller, where you have a few
Yeah, it was The Reckless
characters.
Moment.
The Reckless Moment. Wow, that blows my
It was The
mind.
Reckless
Yes,
Moment, based on a very good mystery by Elizabeth Zanxe Holding.
I love that movie, and what I wanted to call out here with Looking Glass is this feels very much like one of those things where you have
Uh-huh.
you have a few characters, you have a lot of tension, you have a lot of sort of adult. And I don't mean just the fact that there's straight up voyeurism going on in this one, but there's adult tension. What do you think
Yeah.
attracts a director to that kind of material, these sort of tight little
Well, I
thrillers?
think I think a number of things. I think that the film noir, neo noir genre is very appealing. I think the murder mystery genre is very appealing, and that beyond the genre, then if you have a story that has some complexity to it, in this case, story of a conflicted couple in a very precarious place at the beginning of the pictures, trying to start a
Yeah.
new life. There are elements to cook up a fairly juicy mystery. I liked it because of the plot, the sex murder mystery voyeurism story plays to the psychological problems inside Nick Cage's character. And
Yeah.
I also, responded to a kind of a black comic aspect to all of it.
Yeah.
And, and as in a lot of my favorite film noirs and B pictures, The Reckless Moment being high among them, though the
Absolutely.
surface details are finally resolved, the murder mystery, is resolved. The question of their survival is resolved. The underlying psychological issues are still there at the end, and that's true of The Reckless Moment for as far as that goes, where she resolves the blackmail story, but her issues as a woman in a
Yeah.
marriage with a husband who's often not at home, and with the kids who are leaving the nest are still exactly what they were at the beginning of the picture. So that's
Yeah.
one of the nice things about film noir. You don't solve all these problems so neatly.
Here you have much the same thing where Nicolas Cage and you're right. First of all, as far as humor goes, the sequence where he discovers that there is a hidden hallway that can look in on a room is very funny because it's the last thing he expects, and his sort of sudden he has this look of guilt on him as though he's afraid that somebody's going to like sneak up and see him looking in on an empty room. Even though,
Mhm.
and it just reminded me of, just sort of the childishness of somebody like this, where in many ways, Nicolas Cage feels like a person who is just tired of being scolded and feels like he
Yeah.
needs to be scolded.
I think that's right. You're behind a mirror, looking into a room.
Yeah.
It gives you a certain kind of power, but on the other hand, you're powerless. And
Yeah.
it's like the scenes in the picture that I also are kind of dear to my heart, where he's just looking out through the Venetian blinds in his back office at the
Yeah.
comings and goings in the parking lot. You're trying to build mystery, of course, but
Yeah.
he's seeing everything, but he's seeing nothing, and
Yeah.
so becomes a metaphor for the character. And I agree, he's a guy who's trying to do the right thing, but probably feels a bit constrained by his marriage, as much as he wants to make it work, and
Yeah.
and can't quite resist the temptation of looking past his situation into whatever he can get his eyes on.
Well, and it's funny how in thrillers like like Body Double and stuff like this, voyeurism is a kink that is pretty well understood by everybody in the country, and it's certainly a kink that, in a safe way, drives movies in the first place. So it hits you with a real snap at some point when a character goes, "Whoa, whoa, hold up! You're talking about something that's illegal." And that's what's clever about it, is that here you have somebody who kind of gets to live out a really dark fantasy. What if you could spy on people?
Mhm.
And then suddenly being reminded, actually, to do so puts yourself in danger. For you and me, it puts yourself
Mhm.
in danger of getting arrested. And for the people in the movie, it
Yeah.
puts themselves in danger actually of much, much worse.
Well, I think maybe the getting arrested part, if it threatens your life, that's the melodramatic metaphor for for the psychological state, inside the guy, because you're crossing the line there, that
Uh,
as it does, whether or not he's going to get arrested or get himself killed over it. And that's film noir
mhm.
works that way, because it traditionally will take a story about transgressive people and turn it into a metaphor for the
Yeah.
dark side of
Character.
society and the dark side of the American dream.
This is Nicolas Cage like we've never really seen him before. He just seems like a man who's just beaten. He's like heavy set. He's bearded. He's chain smoking. So Robin and Nick, can you talk a little bit about bringing out their relationship in the shooting?
Yeah, I mean, Nick had approved the script, and so nobody was looking for me to do some kind of a major director's script polish. A lot of their stuff was fairly inarticulate, and was sort of subtext. And I think subtext is
Mhm.
great, but I also feel sometimes you have to pick your places where you tell the audience, show the audience what people are really feeling, so that they have these kind of signposts along the way and they understand the
Mm.
emotional progression of the story. So we identified, half a dozen key scenes, some of their bigger emotional scenes, and various other things where I felt that we should articulate a little more of what they're feeling, bring out a little more emotion, and we worked that
Mm.
stuff out together. There was one scene where Robin and I did a draft, and we brought it to Nick and then revised it, and I took a shot at some stuff, and then Nick said, yeah, this is good, I can say this, I don't want to say this, let's do it this way. And we basically
Yeah.
collaborated just on selected scenes that we felt would clarify the shifting emotions of the story. So we
Yeah.
didn't do a lot of rewriting, but we did work on key scenes together, just to bring out as much of it as we could.
I love that. I love he's hiding the fact that he has a voyeur, and he can't tell his wife that. So basically,
Yeah, she thinks he's somebody, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
he's
way it is,
acting,
because he
he's
won't
acting
tell the
skeevy.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I know that you're out of time, Mr. Hunter, but let me tell you, I am so thankful that you talked to us. I actually really wish that we could also talk about James Mason and and the original version of The Deep End. But the new movie is Looking Glass. It is a really tight thriller. I really hope people watch it, and I'm very thankful that you would spend the time to talk to me.
Oh, it was great. Thank you so much.